Another day, another vehicle based on GM's Ultium platform. It feels like there are a ton of them, but this one is a little bit different. For one thing, it's smaller than a lot of the other Ultium-based vehicles we've covered, like, for example, GMC Hummer EV, huge, Cadillac Lyriq, even the Honda Prologue. The other thing that sets this apart is that it's a very affordable EV, and in fact, once we hit the 2025 model year, this will be among the most affordable EVs on the US market thanks to its eligibility for the full federal tax credit. This is the Chevy Equinox EV, and we're looking at the 2LT trim, which is the effective base model until the 1LT comes out for 2025. But this is still pretty well equipped, so let's check it out. I think this is a pretty slick looking little crossover. I like the light bar across the front here. The grille looks pretty simple from further away, and then as you get closer, you start to notice some texture down here, carbon fiber texture along the front, which is interesting. Overall, this actually has some things in common with Buick's new design language, maybe a teeny bit less exotic looking and a little bit more under the radar, except for this color, which is truly fabulous. This is called Galaxy Gray Metallic. Not totally sure how it's showing up on camera, but in person, this is definitely not just another variant of that enamel gray color that's been so popular recently. It really changes with the light, so from some angles, it's almost like a dolphin gray, and from others, we get this light lilac metallic flake that really makes it glow. This is similar to a color BMW has offered, and for me, it's definitely one of my personal top 10 new car colors at the moment. Absolutely the one that I would pick if I were buying this car. But to Chevy's credit, they have included several very eye-catching options. So check those out and let us know which one you would pick. Now, 19-inch wheels are standard. 21s come on the 3 higher trims, and then roof rails are standard on all but the base trim. It really doesn't look that much like the new gas-powered Equinox at all, aside from the same taillights. But then we have a light bar here on the Equinox EV, and just the fact that it's so much longer and lower and sleeker looking, to me, really gives it old school getaway car vibes like Bonnie and Clyde, whereas the new ICE Equinox really looks to me like a cop car. Now, Chevy's AutoSense power liftgate is standard, starting with the 2LT trim. That opens on 26.4 cubic feet of cargo space with the rear seats in place, 57.2 with them down. That puts the Equinox EV's cargo volume below the Toyota bZ4X, Volkswagen ID4, and Hyundai Ioniq 5. But remember, if you have those roof rails, you can use a car top carrier in a pinch. The base trim is only available with an all-black interior, but once you move up to 2LT, you've got options. So what we have today is creatively named Black with Blue Accents. Very descriptive, and I actually really like it. I like that the blue is not too loud. It's almost kind of a sophisticated take, and I love that it pulls in some of the cool tones from the exterior, because again, I do really like that paint job. Now, we have EvoTech seating surfaces. Honestly, fine by me. As long as they wipe off, I'm happy. This comes with an 8-way power adjustable driver's seat, 4-way lumbar. Front row seats are heated, and so is the steering wheel and the outside mirrors. That's all standard on 2LT. If you move up to 3LT, you're gonna get ventilated front row seats and heated back seats. That's pretty cool, because those are traditionally premium features, so it's really neat to see that on a vehicle that still starts under $46,000. Now, 3LT also adds some other things, like a power adjustable passenger seat. Weirdly, it also adds dual zone climate control. I just find that very odd because a lot of other affordably positioned, family-oriented crossovers do come standard with dual zone climate control, including vehicles like the ID4, the bZ4X. So I think it's a little bit strange that the Equinox EV does not come with that, even on this 2LT trim. Now, you'll notice we have no moonroof. That's because it's an option on the 2LT trim, and we don't have it in this vehicle. Equinox EV offers 39.2 inches of headroom up front and 38.5 in the rear, so it's better than the bZ4X, but it's less than the Hyundai Ioniq 5. For legroom, we've got 41.7 inches up front. That's better than the bZ4X, the Ioniq 5, and the ID4, but the Ioniq 5 does better on rear seat legroom. We noticed there was no moonroof. Now I would invite you to notice that there is no start-stop button. You just get in, foot on the brake and we're ready to go. All I have to do is put it into drive. So it does have the standard hands-free start feature, just like the Volkswagen ID4, Volvo C40 Recharge. This is becoming more common. It's not my favorite thing. I find it a little eerie. I like to have a little more reassurance that the car is actually off when I get out and leave, but maybe I'll revisit this video in 5 or 10 years and laugh because it will be so normal by then. Only time will tell. For now, we're just gonna, I already put it in drive, so we're just gonna head on out here and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what it's like to drive. One main point that I wanna make is that you can get a pretty normal driving experience from the Equinox EV. One pedal drive is an option. I'm not using it right now. You do not have to use it. If you want to, turn it on or off if you're sharing the vehicle. You can manage it with a button right here, or you can manage it through your drive modes. So there's normal, sport, snow, ice, and then a My mode. My mode lets you set your preferred customized settings for steering feel, deceleration, one pedal drive, so regenerative braking. Really lets you kind of customize what the vehicle is gonna feel like. As far as driving dynamics go, this is very clearly not positioned as an enthusiast vehicle, and it drives like a family car, like you would expect. In particular, it's interesting to note, they seem to have tuned it for more linear power delivery than we're used to seeing from an EV. So instead of that instant torque that really kind of pins you back in your seat, this is adding power in more like a normal car. Again, a very traditional driving experience, not gonna be a huge adjustment for somebody who's buying their first EV with this. I would say handling is pretty good, steering feel is decent, no major complaints. This is a front-wheel drive Equinox EV, so it has a single electric motor making 213 horsepower and 236 pound-feet of torque. The version with E all-wheel drive gets a dual motor setup that's rated for 288 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque. When properly equipped, the Equinox EV can tow up to 1,500 pounds. Of course, anyone shopping for an EV is going to want to know about range, so let me answer that for you. The Equinox EV front-wheel drive, we're looking at 319 miles of range on a full charge. With that E all-wheel drive, that drops to 285. Still pretty good considering that the Nissan Ariya with front-wheel drive is selling with a range under 220 miles, and the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and rear-wheel drive is selling with a range of 220 miles. Now, some of that is because this has a larger standard battery pack of 85 kilowatt hours, so it's actually more comparable to the longer range versions of those competitors. Every Equinox EV is capable of DC fast charging at rates up to 150 kilowatts. At that charging rate, it should add up to 77 miles of range in just 10 minutes. On a level 2 AC charger operating at 11.5 kilowatts, we're looking at, GM estimates, 34 miles of range per hour. This 17.7-inch infotainment display is standard. It's supposed to be the largest in the class, which is pretty easy to believe when you look at it. It looks huge, definitely angled towards the driver, so maybe it's most obvious from my spot, but this is big. Now, unfortunately, it is not running Apple CarPlay or Android Auto because GM is making good on their threat to discontinue those smartphone projection services. That's a pretty big bummer. I'm not thrilled about it. Admittedly, this does have Google built in, which does include Google Maps, which is a large portion of what I tend to use Apple CarPlay for, but I also use it for things like checking my text messages without looking at my phone, sending a text message without looking at my phone, which I have not been able to do in this vehicle. So, not my favorite thing that they have ever done. The 11-inch driver information display is also standard, and so are 2 USB-C ports in the front and 2 in the back. An 8-year OnStar remote access plan is also included with every Equinox EV. That's a pretty darn generous trial subscription period. The reason, I believe, is that that has to be active for the My Chevrolet app to work properly so that it can offer things like navigation, route planning, taking into account the current state of charge. It can find for you an available public charging station, and it can precondition the battery so that it's ready for max charging upon arrival. GM Super Cruise hands-free highway driving assist system is available on the Equinox EV. On this car's window sticker, it's listed as a $2,700 package that also requires a subscription, but it does at least also come with enhanced automatic parking assist as part of that package. Here's what's standard. Chevy Safety Assist. That package includes a bunch of features like automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist with lane departure warning, forward collision alert, and more. GM's teen driver technology is standard, so that is a pretty cool suite of features, which we've talked about before. Check out one of our other videos to see more on that. And then the Equinox EV also gets rear parking assist, adaptive cruise control, traffic sign recognition, rear cross traffic braking, blind zone steering assist, lots of other features, pretty much everything most people are looking for. Our as-tested price of the vehicle we've seen today comes to $45,995. That is including destination, so is every other price I'm about to mention. Now, current base price is $43,295. That does, of course, reflect the fact that the 2LT is the lowest trim available at the moment. When the new base trim comes out in 2025, that's currently set to start at $34,995. And if you factor in that full federal EV tax credit, if you are eligible for it because the vehicle is, that's gonna bring your price down to $27,495, which really looks like a deal. Current base price puts the Equinox EV mid-pack higher than the Nissan Ariya, Volkswagen ID4, and Hyundai Ioniq 5, but lower than the Toyota BZ4X and the Tesla Model Y. Now, of those competitors, only the Tesla Model Y really has a comparable range to the Equinox EV. What's really interesting is that it currently looks like the 2025 Equinox EV new base trim will still have that 85 kilowatt-hour battery pack and that 319-mile range. So watch out, EV makers, because it seems like there might be a new best value in town. Of course, for your shopping journey, it's most important to find the right fit for your lifestyle and your budget. So take advantage of everything that we have to offer. Full video reviews, check those out on any of the cars that you're considering. And when you're ready to buy, head over to CarGurus.com to take advantage of our real-time pricing trends, our deal ratings, and our huge inventory. Just please subscribe before you go.